Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Soul Land 2 Peerless Tang Men based on novel. So let's start. As a disciple of the body sect, how could he possibly reach such the unity of heaven and man realm through medicine? His cultivation was achieved through his own hard work and effort. Such a soul sage from the body sect, was very scary. His 4 10,000-year soul rings were even superior to the unbreakable Doluor beside him. Xingzhon only had 4 10,000-year soul rings. The body sect actually had such a strong individual among their ranks. The expression of everyone from Tang sect changed. Even Xu Qianran, Jing Hongchen, and the mysterious imperial tutor were all affected when they saw Long Aotian's 7 soul rings. Their auras started to undulate. Before Long Aotian had surfaced, Wang Qiu'er was recognized as the strongest in this tournament. Her fighting strength was the best. However, those who were sharp could tell that Long Aotian was superior to Wang Qiu'er even before he made a move. They just didn't know what his martial soul was. 100 meters was nothing to Long Aotian. He took only a second to move this distance. He didn't perform any superfluous actions, or unleash any of his soul skills. He raised his right hand and mimicked a pressing action towards Huo Yuhao. Suddenly, the entire stage started to gently shake. Huo Yuhao sensed that his opponent wasn't just Long Aotian, but the air within the protective barriers around the stage. Even the sunlight became a part of his opponent's attack. Even though nothing weird had happened yet, Huo Yuhao felt a huge change occurring. Was this a fighting technique in the realm of unity of heaven and man? Huo Yuhao's eyes brightened. Even Long Aotian was a little stunned. He wondered why Huo Yuhao wasn't fearful or panicky, but excited. Huo Yuhao raised his right hand and formed a fist, then shuddered slightly. Following this, a golden projection separated from his body. He also turned golden, just like a golden sculpture. This golden projection was slender. Although it was illusory, her appearance made Long Aotian feel that the pressure he was putting on Huo Yuhao was being borne by this projection. She looked a little familiar. 3 pairs of wings opened behind her, and her long hair flowed. She punched with her right hand and blocked Long Aotian's palm. There was no tremendous collision. When both parties contacted each other, Long Aotian's attack seemed to have been retracted. The fist of the golden projection also developed an indescribable, whirlpool-like glow that seemed able to engulf everything. 2 beams of light, golden and white jade, blew apart after a momentary silence. They changed into 2 light barriers that stuck close to each other as they rippled. Huo Yuhao seemed to really become a statue as he sat in his wheelchair. There wasn't a single change in him. The golden projection in front of him was also crushed as the beams of light blew apart. Long Aotian didn't move a single inch. However, there was a look of shock in his eyes. It was definitely not a soul skill. It was a fighting technique. What fighting technique was it? It wasn't the sovereign's descent that Huo Yuhao had inherited from the dragon god Doluor. Even with Long Aotian's cultivation, he couldn't continue to advance as they clashed. In the next instant, the golden projection reformed. She retracted her left hand and extended her right hand. As she tugged and pulled, a pure golden whirlpool with a diameter of around 1 foot flew out from the hands of the golden projection, barreling towards Long Aotian. Long Aotian took a step back and raised his right arm. His palm straightened like a blade. Suddenly, his entire arm and body turned a jade color. Behind him, a twisted blade formed by compressed air lit up and slashed. There was a deafening screech in the air. The golden whirlpool was destroyed, but the jade blade light was also crushed. This time, Long Aotian retreated half a step again, whereas Huo Yuhao was bleeding from his nose and mouth. While it seemed like a simple collision, it was actually more dangerous and scary than using soul skills. After the golden projection was crushed again, Huo Yuhao's face was already completely pale. He retracted his right arm to his chest before pushing it out again. The golden projection took form again. This time, the projection clasped her palms before her chest. An austere aura was released. Long Aotian's expression turned serious. After entering the realm of unity of heaven and man, his senses were probably superior to Huo Yuhao's even if his spiritual power wasn't comparable. His sense of crisis was especially acute. When that golden projection took form in front of Huo Yuhao again, Long Aotian only felt his heart shrinking. After that, his heart beat extremely quickly, and he started perspiring profusely. Even with his cultivation, he still broke out in a cold sweat. It was as if he were being targeted by a venomous snake that could kill him with one bite. How's it possible? His cultivation is definitely below mine. He has also been greatly exhausted. Why is he giving me such a feeling? Although Long Aotian was shocked, he didn't slow down. He pointed his toes to the ground and he flipped backward. At the same time, his arms drew a huge circle in front of his body. His entire body turned jade white, and his complexion glowed. Behind him, a silver-white human figure quickly took form. It was the second awakening of his body-soul. It was a silver-ranked awakening. In fact, Elder Mu wasn't even sure whether the second awakening of body-souls in the body sect could evolve. The highest level of second awakening right now was the white-silver level. Only a person with his second awakening in the white-silver level could transcend the level of a title Doluor and evolve to the gold level. Huo Yuhao's judgment was very accurate. Long Aotian was the strongest among the younger generation in the body sect. He was likely to inherit the position of the leader of the body sect in the future. His status in the body sect was very high, it was even superior to many elders. After seeing Long Aotian's second awakening of his body soul, everyone from the Snow Demon sect in the waiting area couldn't help but stand up. They didn't understand why he would do this even though he was at an advantage. At this point, the projection in front of Huo Yuhao's body moved. She swept her clasped palms forward, and a thin, golden light shot out. Wherever the light passed, no ripples were created. Not even a sound could be heard. Without looking carefully, it was almost impossible to detect it. At least no spectator was able to see this golden light. It even seemed to absorb the light that it refracted. Long Aotian had a grave look on his face. When the golden light flashed, even his soul felt a piercing pain. This was an attack that he couldn't possibly dodge. He refused to use an invincible barrier to protect himself. As the strongest individual in the younger generation of the body sect, he was a firm believer that martial souls were still stronger than soul tools. The protective white light around Long Aotian's body was like a rubber ball that had been pricked. It instantly blew apart and turned into a white glow that quickly dispersed. He groaned and shuddered. The white lights around his body started to surge. Huo Yuhao wasn't in the best condition on the other side either. After unleashing this attack, the projection in front of him instantly dimmed and disappeared. He was very pale, and was relying on his wheelchair to keep himself from collapsing. He was panting, and the light in his spirit eyes had also dimmed slightly. However, he was still staring at his opponent. He sighed in his heart. It was his first time using this ultimate technique. However, the result, Long Aotian's body started to jerk tremendously, and he spat out blood. The blood that he spat out was a little weird. After spitting it out, it immediately changed into countless blood arrows that scattered and let out a series of sizzles. As it landed on the ground, it formed small holes, but the depth of these holes couldn't be determined. His body jerked slightly, and he also looked slightly pale. When he looked at Huo Yuhao again, his expression was very serious. He lifted his right hand, and a milky white glow appeared. Brother Long is hurt. Everyone from the Snow Demon sect was astonished. It seemed like he was in rather bad shape. They also didn't expect Huo Yuhao to weaken Long Aotian at the last moment. I concede defeat. Huo Yuhao's weak voice sounded. He signaled towards Jing Zhon. After winning 2 consecutive fights, Huo Yuhao finally lost to the most outstanding youth from the body sect. Although Long Aotian didn't use his full abilities in this fight, he was still hurt by Huo Yuhao's last attack. Wang Donga rushed up the stage immediately. She came to Huo Yuhao's side, and he smiled at her to show that he was fine. When Wang Donga was about to push him off the stage, Long Aotian suddenly said, "Wait a minute." Huo Yuhao twisted his head to look at him. Wang Donga's eyes were filled with caution and hostility. Long Aotian's abilities were beyond what they had expected. Long Aotian looked at Huo Yuhao with a deep gaze. "Can I ask if the golden projection was a fighting technique that you invented?" Huo Yuhao slowly nodded. Long Aotian said, "You are strong. Among those of the same generation, you are the most creative opponent I've met. It's a pity that your body is restricting your abilities. Otherwise, you'd probably be the strongest opponent I've ever met. If there's a day you can stand up, I hope to fight you in your best state." Huo Yuhao smiled, "You'll have that opportunity." When he said that, his eyes seemed to be dazzling. He had given his all in this fight, and curbed his opponent several times. However, he still fell short in the end. But there was still the team round. More importantly, he hadn't revealed all his trump cards. Otherwise, what were they going to do against the Holy Ghost sect? Huo Yuhao knew that Long Outian was much stronger than him, but that he still had a fighting chance. After fighting Long Outian, he had gained a deeper understanding of his abilities. If he could regain his mobility and absorb all the origin energy of ultimate ice in his body, his cultivation would reach the level of a soul emperor. When that happened, he was confident of challenging Long Outian through his various fighting methods. Wang Donga pushed Huo Yuhao off the stage and immediately stood behind him to massage his shoulders. Huo Yuhao also had a milk bottle in his hand and started to recover his soul power. Even though he had lost this fight, the Tang sect still held the advantage. Among the three who had competed from the Snow Demon sect, Chen Lu was definitely unable to compete in the team round. This meant that they were already a man down for the team round. Xu Sanxia stood up. It was the first time he was so serious in this tournament. The strength of his opponent also motivated his own fighting will. Second competing member from the Tang sect, please come up to the stage. Jing Zhon seemed to be a little lost after witnessing such an exciting fight. However, he still continued to manage the proceedings of this individual elimination round. Xu Sanxia was about to walk up to the stage, but he heard a voice calling, "Wait a minute." He was a little puzzled as he stopped. He turned to Jiang Nannan beside him. Jiang Nannan stood up and looked at him with a passionate gaze. She said softly, "Return safely." As she spoke, she hugged Xu Sanxi's neck in front of everyone before pecking him on the cheek. Xu Sanxia was stunned. Xiao Xiao was the shyest among the three ladies of the Shrek's 7 monsters. However, Jiang Nannan was the most conservative. He was lucky when she was willing to hold his hand. Even if he pestered her for a month, he might not even be able to kiss her. However, Jiang Nannan now took the initiative to kiss him in front of everyone. Furthermore, she wasn't encouraging him to win. She had asked him to return safely. It was just a simple few words. However, Xu Sanxi's blood surged. He hugged Jiang Nannan tightly and let out a loud whistle. He stomped his right foot on the ground and jumped up onto the stage. He was too excited. He was even blushing slightly. His entire aura also seemed a little unstable. However, this instability made him seem like a volcano that was about to erupt. He was under great pressure. He took big steps forward and came to the center of the stage. He nodded at the referee. In the Tang sect's waiting area, Bei Bei gave Jiang Nannan a thumbs up. Everyone from the Tang sect knew that Jiang Nannan was the greatest motivation for Xu Sanxia. Jiang Nannan was his greatest weakness, but she was also a catalyst to him. Xiao Xiao laughed. She copied Jiang Nannan's gentle voice and said, "Return safely." Jiang Nannan blushed. "I hope that everyone can return safely." Bei Bei teased, "Then you should give me a kiss when I compete later, and tell me to return safely." "All right." Jiang Nannan snapped, "Bei Bei, keep dreaming. Xiao Ya is watching." Bei Bei's expression turned stiff. He laughed bitterly and shook his head. Jiang Nannan appeared very apologetic after she said that, and hurriedly said, "Sorry, I." Bei Bei smiled and said, "No worries, I'll make sure Xiao Ya returns safely as well." As he said this, there was a strong sense of belief that came from him. However, everyone could feel how desperate he was. Bei Bei turned to Huo Yuhao and softly asked, "Yuhao, what is his martial soul?" Huo Yuhao replied, "His martial soul should be his skin. It's very rare among body souls. I communicated this to second senior earlier." Bei Bei furrowed his brow. "Does that mean that he has no flaws?" Huo Yuhao answered, "He is really strong. He must have invented his own fighting skill, and even has a very deep comprehension of it. His cultivation has even reached the realm of the unity of heaven and man. To him, soul skills won't make a big difference. His body is his strongest soul skill. He's very scary." After he finished saying this, he shut his eyes and continued to replenish his soul power. In his mind, scenes of his fight with Long Outian also replayed continuously, especially the last clash between them. "Ancestor Tang San, I'm sorry. I wasn't able to carry on the Tang sect's reputation of having the best, top-ranked hidden weapons on the continent. However, I only used half of the power of that ultimate technique. He would have died if it were paired with lethal poison. If Yama tells someone to die, no one will dare to delay. This ultimate technique was ranked third among the 3 great hidden weapon techniques of the Tang sect that Tang San left in the poison scripture, Yama's invitation. Yama's invitation, a hidden weapon that could chase one's soul and seize it forcibly. Huo Yuhao had used his self-invented goddess of light's fighting technique to imitate Yama's invitation. This had depleted all his remaining soul power. Otherwise, he wouldn't have conceded defeat. Long Aotian was too strong. There was no way he could have weakened him without using such a method. Long Aotian was a 7-ringed soul sage, who could exhibit a martial soul true body. If everyone from the Tang sect only competed based on their order, they might have to pay a huge price even if they could defeat him. If that happened, what would they do in the team round later on? This was why Huo Yuhao had sacrificed all his soul power to use the Yama's invitation. Although Long Aotian managed to resist his attack, he was still eventually hurt. Furthermore, Huo Yuhao could also confirm that he was hurt quite badly. Yama's invitation had 2 deadly ways to kill its target. The first was lethal poison. Huo Yuhao hadn't had time to research the poison chapter that Tang San left behind in depth. As a result, he couldn't recreate the true Yama's invitation. That was why he couldn't truly utilize this deadly technique. This was why he said he'd only exhibited a part of Yama's invitation. The second one was the actual Yama's invitation. There was a special technique to unleash it. It fused the controlling crane, capturing dragon, purple demon eyes, mysterious heaven technique, mysterious jade hands and many other abilities. It also greatly depleted one's soul power. Furthermore, it didn't matter what rank a soul master was in, the depletion would be equally great. It was just that the strength of Yama's invitation would increase depending on one's cultivation. The actual Yama's invitation couldn't be avoided. Once it entered the opponent's body, it would immediately be crushed before it coursed through it at a frightening speed. Even without any lethal poison, it was still very terrifying. Otherwise, it wouldn't be among the Tang sect's hidden weapon 100 separation, and even be the 3rd-ranked throwing-type hidden weapon. Huo Yuhao had unleashed the second effect of Yama's invitation earlier. Long Aotian had used the strength of his body-soul, which had undergone its second awakening, to reduce the majority of the impact force from Huo Yuhao's partial Yama's invitation. He had also dispelled the part of Yama's invitation that was formed using Huo Yuhao's spiritual and soul power. However, the crushed Yama's invitation still gave him great trouble after it entered his body. When he spat out that mouthful of blood, he had used his soul power and control over his body to force the Yama's invitation out of his body. However, Yama's invitation was very strong. Even though he had forced it out of his body, his passageways were still bound to be hurt. They weren't lightly hurt either. Right now, the next fight on the stage had already begun. As the referee signaled the start of the fight, Xuanwu immediately unleashed his shield of the Xuanwu turtle and charged towards his opponent. Right now, he was very energetic, and his aura was pressing. His eyes appeared very sharp. There was only one thought in his mind. If I perform well, will Nan Nan give me further rewards? In the waiting area, Jiang Nan Nan was a little worried as she saw Xuanwu charging towards his opponent. She asked, Bei Bei, will he be fine? Bei Bei smiled and answered her, why? Don't you trust his abilities? While his opponent is strong, he is adept at defending. This is the best kind of fight for him. If it were me, I wouldn't do any better than him. Especially after your encouragement earlier, I believe he'll be able to unleash his full abilities. Don't worry. When this guy is serious, he can be better than anyone. Okay. Jiang Nan Nan nodded gently. She focused on the two on the stage, who were getting closer and closer to each other. Long Aotian acted as if nothing had happened in his previous fight against Huo Yuhao. He continued to slide forward as usual. The feeling of the unity of heaven and man appeared once again. Xuanwu felt the pressure that Huo Yuhao had felt earlier. His opponent's omnipresent and integrative aura was very uncomfortable. However, Xuanwu wouldn't fight his opponent using fighting techniques. They weren't what he was good at. He placed his shield in front of him to protect himself. They were about to clash. Long Aotian wasn't the one who made the first move. Instead, it was Xuanwu. When Long Aotian was 10 meters away from him, he stomped on the ground with his right leg and stopped himself in his tracks. His third soul ring shone, and his shield surged with black light. His aura instantly became very cold and eerie. As he pushed his shield forward, his first soul ring shone slightly after his third soul ring. Layers of black light started to surge outward. These lights were like bubbles that rushed towards Long Aotian like overlapping waves. Xu Sanqi's third soul skill, Mysterious Underworld Force, and his first soul skill, Mysterious Underworld Quake. When he used the Mysterious Underworld Quake this time, it didn't provide him all-around control and defense. Instead, it was focused in one direction. As he unleashed it with all his strength, the layers of black light resisted the pressure that Long Aotian brought to him. This was Xu Sanqi's true ability. He was one of the Gemini from Shrek Academy in the past. Even Shrek's 7 monsters had never seen him go all out before. Long Aotian snorted and swept his right hand upward. A white blade formed out of thin air. Suddenly, the black bubbles were crushed as they encountered the blade. Xu Sanqi's quaking force was unable to reach Long Aotian. However, Long Aotian was stalled as he was attacked. After the white blade of air got close to Xu Sanqi's shield, it was eventually dissipated by the mysterious underworld quake. Long Aotian lifted his right arm and mimicked a pressing action towards Xu Sanqi with his palm. Suddenly, a white, palm-shaped glow spread. This palm-shaped glow completely stopped the mysterious underworld quake that had reformed after it was destroyed. In addition, it also forced its way closer to Xu Sanqi. Black and white were clearly separated. Long Aotian's attack seemed unstoppable, and quickly arrived in front of the Xu Sanqi's shield. Boom. The white palm-shaped glow scattered. Amidst the tremendous boom, Xu Sanqi retreated. He staggered backward, and his footsteps seemed a little messy. Long Aotian was unforgiving. He stepped forward with his left leg and formed a fist before striking again. This time, it was a fist-shaped glow which seemed even stronger. The glow, which was more than a meter in diameter, quickly reached the staggering Xu Sanqi. Xu Sanqi's shield tilted slightly to one side. Under the effect of the mysterious underworld force, the surface of the shield shone with layers of pitch-black light. Boom! Another loud boom sounded. Xu Sanqi retreated 7 to 8 steps this time. He even lifted his shield as it was jerked to one side. Long Aotian attacked with his right fist. Xu Sanqi did something unexpected this time. He squatted down and tilted his shield upward. Bang! When the fist-shaped glow scattered, a huge patch of white light could be seen above Xu Sanqi. However, he rolled over from this fist. His shield seemed to grow on his body. Even when he rolled, the shield still protected him. He rolled for several dozen meters before he managed to get up, and when he stood up, he still retreated a few steps. After 3 consecutive strikes, Xu Sanqi appeared very disheveled. However, Long Aotian squinted his eyes and smiled. He said, "Good." Xu Sanqi's held his shield in front of him and groaned, "I don't need you to tell me that I'm good. Come on." As he said, he hooked his left hand to bait Long Aotian to attack him. Long Aotian didn't make a sound. He pointed his left foot toward the ground. This time, he reached maximum speed. His body flashed before he was immediately in front of Xu Sanqi. As he unleashed his palms, intense white light seemed to turn his entire body into a burning white color. Boom! The shield of the Xuanwu turtle was crushed. Xu Sanqi groaned as he was pushed back. However, it was only the first layer of the shield that was crushed. After the first layer was crushed, Long Aotian's strength destroyed the second layer, followed by the third layer. In front of Xu Sanqi, his shield seemed to turn into countless layers. Furthermore, he was also retreating continuously. Right now, those who were sharp could tell some clues. While Xu Sanqi was retreating, he wasn't completely at a disadvantage. Every step that he took was timed at the perfect instant, when the impact force from his opponent was the strongest. His defensive control against an opponent's attack had reached a flawless level. When he retreated, his shield also changed continuously. Every layer that was crushed weakened the attack of his opponent. Long Aotian knew it best. Even with his control, he couldn't stop Xu Sanqi from weakening his attack. It seemed like his opponent was an old turtle, who would never perish even in the face of the most brutal thunderstorms. He would only hide within his own shell. Boom! Xu Sanqi kept on retreating. Long Aotian's attack was unceasing, while he was struggling to stay alive. His second and third soul rings shone at the same time. He used the mysterious underworld shield as a series of defensive layers. It worked very similarly to the mysterious underworld quake, especially because he had to control every layer properly to resist Long Aotian's attack. The eternal defense, Xu Sanqi. He was living up to his name now. Boom! A loud explosion resonated, and Xuanwu was flung back along with his shield. He retreated more than 20 meters this time, before he crashed to the ground. He staggered a few steps again, before he neutralized the impact force that had struck him. On the other side, Long Aotian also stopped, and the look in his eyes became sharper. What a troublesome fellow to deal with. Long Aotian cursed in his heart. Huo Yuhao's judgment was right. The strength of Yama's invitation was beyond what Long Aotian had expected. Although he had forced the Yama's invitation out from his body, his passageways were still damaged. He was also greatly depleted, because he had gathered too much of his soul power earlier. While the realm of the unity of heaven and man was very strong, its depletion of Long Aotian's soul power was also very great. After the series of attacks, his passageways were hurting. To prevent his injury from worsening, he took it down a notch. Xuanwu seems to have been flung away, but Long Aotian knew that he was exploiting the momentum of his attack to spring back. However, Long Aotian didn't stop him either. He also needed this time to catch his breath. Is everyone from the Tang sect so difficult to deal with? Long Aotian breathed in deeply and tried to repress his internal pain. He retracted the burning white glow around his body. Finally, one of his 7 soul rings lit up. He's not using his abilities in the realm of the unity of heaven and man anymore. Beneath the stage, Huo Yuhao brightened as he monitored the fight. Long Aotian's transformations verified his guesses. Even though Long Aotian wasn't any weaker, as he unleashed his soul skills, his injuries should be quite bad, since he was no longer in the realm of the unity of heaven and man. He was tapping into his soul skills to increase his fighting strength. Of course, Huo Yuhao also knew that Long Aotian was scariest when he fused his realm of the unity of heaven and man and his soul skills with the second awakening of his body soul. Second senior, hang in there. His first soul ring shone, and Long Aotian's body made some weird changes. He started to bulge, and was now much bigger than before. Following this, his third soul ring also shone. There was now another layer of dark golden glow on his skin. Unleashing these 2 soul skills caused his aura to become stronger and stronger. Everyone could tell that his first soul skill was used to enhance his strength, speed and other traits. His third soul skill was used to increase his body's tenacity, as if he were making his body metallic. Of course, it was more advanced than that. Right now, Long Aotian seemed as if he had an extra layer of dark golden armor on his body. As he unleashed these 2 soul skills at the same time, he was already charging towards Xuanwu. Xuanwu didn't retreat this time. His 5th soul ring lit up. Suddenly, a pair of crimson-red eyes opened on his shield. Turtle God strike. Boom! 2 figures clashed in the air. Xuanwu seemed to have become stronger. As they clashed, his entire body was dyed completely black. However, Xuanwu couldn't compare to Long Aotian in terms of absolute cultivation. He was still the one who was sent flying back. Enjoyable. Xuanwu shouted, though there was already a streak of blood on the side of his lips. However, the look in his eyes became even more incisive. Long Aotian, who was slightly delayed by the collision, charged forward again. He came in front of Xuanwu and smashed his left fist down. At the same time, he raised his right hand up high. A weird scene occurred. As his second soul ring shone, his right arm was distorted and turned into a long, golden blade. As his left fist collided with the shield of the Xuanwu turtle, Xuanwu immediately staggered back. However, the shield was still protecting his body. However, the dark golden blade slashed like a bolt of lightning at the next moment. Long Aotian's actions were extremely swift. He didn't give Xuanwu a chance to avoid him. As Xuanwu tilted his shield, he tried his best to block the direct attack of the dark golden blade. However, the blade was too sharp. With a clang, the blade stabbed straight into Xuanwu's shield. Xuanwu groaned. When a martial soul was hurt, it was no different from hurting the Soul Master. At times, the Soul Master might even be more critically injured. After the dark golden blade stabbed into the shield, it expanded in size and seemed to completely mount itself to the shield. Long Aotian pulled the shield, attempting to drag Xuanwu towards him. At this point, his left arm had already changed its form. It turned into a dark golden hammer and smacked down ferociously. Xuanwu had no other choice now. He squatted down and used his shield to protect his body. These 2 consecutive blows were too strong. As the hammer pounded the shield, Long Aotian's blade and the shield finally separated. There were many marks on the shield now, and it seemed on the verge of being torn apart. Xuanwu also spat out blood as he retreated. Long Aotian stretched his arms to his sides, and his fourth soul ring lit up. Once he started his all-out attack, he wasn't going to give Xuanwu a chance anymore. He only decided to use such a ferocious method to defeat Xuanwu, because he was very difficult to deal with. Not only would this save time, but it would also help to conserve his soul power. Something weird happened. Long Aotian grew in size again. But this time, it seemed as if he were noodle that was being stretched out. He reached more than 4 meters in height. As he extended his arms upward, he was like a piece of dark golden metal that had been stretched after it melted. Long Aotian continued to grow, and was soon more than 5 meters tall. Both his arms then clasped together, and changed into a huge axe. It was actually possible to use a body soul in this manner, changing one's body into different forms. Long Aotian's fighting style was very special. At least, no one was like him in this tournament. Long Aotian pulled his axe back and burst towards Xuanwu. This strike was bound to be astonishing. The burning white that had covered his body earlier surfaced once again. This was his fourth soul skill in the realm of the unity of heaven and man, the Berserk God Slash. Long Aotian wanted to use this strike to end Xuanwu and this fight. Xuanwu was stunned. He didn't even try to dodge. He only stood there, rooted in place. The axe was about to chop down. Suddenly, Xuanwu smiled. A very arrogant and confident smile. As the axe slashed down, Xuanwu and his shield were split in two. However, they then turned into a patch of black fluid. When the fluid spread, the stage suddenly darkened, and the ground turned completely black. A huge amount of black water surged, and waves were formed almost instantly. The entire stage had suddenly turned into a black ocean. Long Aotian had exploited his momentum in the air to unleash his attack. Moreover, he was a 7-ringed soul sage, and could fly using his soul power. But no matter how strong an axe was, how useful was it in water? An astonished look appeared on Long Aotian's face again. He had been locked onto Xuanwu a second ago. However, everything seemed to change when he struck his opponent. Is this a domain-type soul skill? Long Aotian took in a deep breath. Just like how the Tang sect hadn't expected the body sect to have someone as strong as him, he hadn't expected to meet someone from the Tang sect who was so difficult to deal with. As the black waves surged, a figure formed from the black water, rising amidst the waves. Xuanwu's voice sounded from all directions. While your attack is strong, you can't overcome water. Water is the strongest defense. If you want to overcome my defense, show me what you've got. A huge shield appeared in the sky. The body of the shield was pitch black, but it exuded an eerie, black wave of gas above it as well. This shield was more than 3 meters in diameter, and the shell and horn of the turtle on this shield were very obvious. At the centermost area of the shield, there was a black snake on top of the turtle. If not for its ruby-red eyes, its figure would have been concealed by the blackness of the shield. At this moment, the shield of the Xuanwu turtle no longer existed. There was only the Xuanwu shield. The black water was Xuanwu's domain. It was also his 6th soul skill, Xuanwu's domain. This video will end here.